For this video, I'm going to demonstrate some shading and value study. I'm going to focus on this second one here, which is a combination of a couple different pencils. It's going to be a combination of the Mars Lumograph 4B, and I have 8B here. Both the 8B and the 7B in Mars Lumograph are pretty similar in that both of them are actually not just softer and darker and therefore potentially getting shinier and shinier, just straight graphite like a lot of 7Bs and 8Bs, but they start adding something in their 7B that makes it a little bit more charcoal pencil like, but it's still there's still graphite in there, so you can definitely shade on top of graphite with the 7B and the 8B. I had the 7B handy here. So let's do that one. I'm going to start out in a very similar fashion as just my which is the 4B. Just a good sort of general drawing thought is if I want to make this next one basically the same size, I can just sort of imagine dropping a plumb line down from that first one. So starting off like I did that first one, basically just sketching out this this rectangle, and I'm going to create a value scale on, splitting that in half, splitting that in half again. Had to clean up that bottom edge apparently. I'm putting a little bit, if you didn't watch this first one, I'm putting a little extra graphite over, especially on this left side, because I'm going to do some smudging and blending just with my finger, nice and simple, just so, especially over on this left side, maybe partly everywhere, but because I'm going to come in and pull out, that's sort of a phrase, but erase away with a kneaded eraser the first box. There you have it, a perfect swatch. Okay, hopefully you know I'm joking. But I'm trying to make the point that this is a study, that this is a study, so I'm not worried about perfection. In fact, I suppose I should probably never worry about perfection. But also that I want to focus on the big picture of just really understanding these values, and I'm going to try to not get tripped up by getting into too many details first. So like this first one, excuse me, I'm going to come back and do a very light shading with my 4B pencil still. Vertical, overlapping side of my pencil, light pressure, really only pressure on the, in this particular case, the downstroke. not worrying too much if it's perfect in the lines and everything and whatnot. And come back in and just blend those together a little bit. The drawing blending police might have something to say about using my finger. Technically that will add oils and make it so this drawing is not going to last forever. So I'm not going to hand it down to my grandchildren and their grandchildren, but I'm not so worried about that. Now I'm going to come back in with my 7B. You could come back in with your 8B. But when I am starting to do the next layer in a opposite direction horizontal, sort of a cross, giving us a cross hatching effect. Cross hatching in that to make things darker, you can go in one direction and then the other direction, come back. That's not the cleanest example of cross hatching, but it's just the idea that I'm trying to get across. That's more of a hatch. These, like I hopefully have said, this is more of a kind of a combination between hatching and shading. But I am, again, going in one direction, in this case horizontally. Cleaning it up, obviously you can see a little bit as I'm going along. I'm going to blend that a little bit. And then I'm going to come back in on this last square swatch shape. I'm using more pressure, still the side of my pencil. Trying to be careful as I get to the end there. And no, this is not the cleanest. I can certainly bring in a blending stomp, and or a just a tissue. Let me try a tissue just because I actually happen to have one. It is nice to sort of sometimes have the texture of the paper be not so prominent. Blending is a lovely subject and something that will be other videos on. So now I've done a little bit of blending for that one. I've made it smoother, but I've lifted off, moved around some of the graphite. Now I've switched back to my regular graphite here, the 4B. Just going to try to clean up that shape a little bit, including the edges. there's a back and forth here between different tools. There's no, as I think I've probably said in other videos, there's no reason why you can't just draw with a 7B or 8B all the time. I find them a little bit, they're not as smooth. There's a little bit of wax, there's a little bit of bite to them. So they're not as pleasing tactily for me as just the regular graphite, but they are a great tool for helping to really establish a wider range of values. The 4B in itself is pretty limited just as far as how dark it will allow you to get. I'm going to come in, I think I'm running out of battery, but real quickly I'm going to try to come in and establish that indeed the 7B is going to give us the ability to get much darker, the 7B and the 8B, without having that unruly, shiny graphite sort of look. I've shifted to more of a tripod and not a side of the tip. My phone camera is telling me that's enough for now. So that's going to be enough for now. Check it out.